where the Toronto Blue Jays added another strong arm and continued to build up a very good offseason so far with a couple of big tickets still out there. But Tyler Rogers, come on down to the Rogers Center for the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays remain one of the busiest teams this offseason, bringing in Tyler Rogers on a new contract, and I think this move makes a ton of sense. The one that everyone has pointed out is obviously you go, in a game you could go from Yusei, who has one of the higher release points in baseball, to Rogers, who literally couldn't have a lower one unless they let him submarine through the bottom of the mound and just kind of like softball the pitch in there. This is obviously going to be a bit troublesome for hitters. But I do think that Rogers has some value on the other 4 days where Yusei isn't starting as well. And I also don't think that the Blue Jays are going to look at pitchers from now on and go, traditional arm slot? Loser. I don't think that's going to be the case. But I think that this works a lot for Toronto. The one thing that he is a really solid innings eater. He's just, for the amount of torque that he puts on his body, he stayed pretty healthy and pretty reliable. I don't know how many saves this guy is going to get for Toronto or anything like that, but in terms of guys who can eat innings, guys who are going to be able to get on a rocky night, just get us to Hoffman, get us to García, get us to those guys in the back part of the bullpen, and we'll be fine. This is a really, really solid, reliable arm that the Blue Jays are bringing in, and one that I think Jays fans should be excited about. And you can start to see how this bullpen takes shape. Obviously, your mileage may vary on Jeff Hoffman, but I think having a pitcher like Rogers to be able to get to, like I said, the Garcias, the Hoffmans, and whoever else is going to be in the back part of that bullpen is going to be a really valuable thing. And Toronto saw how important it is to just have a guy that you can rely on to go out there and get outs on a consistent basis. They saw it with Louis Varland, who I wonder where he kind of factors into everything this season. But this is a strong move for the Blue Jays bullpen, and just a really, really smart one when Diaz gone, Suarez, Williams, all of them off the board. Where do we go now? This is a very, very solid add to the Blue Jays bullpen, and just adding a little bit of a different dynamic, and just adding another major league reliever out there. And that was a issue at times this season for Toronto. Again, we all look at the season with rose-colored glasses because of how awesome it went for about 6 months there. But one of the reasons why there were issues with Hoffman is because they had to use him for 2 innings in a lot of games. And that led to a bit of a downfall. Like, he was going at an all-star level to start the season off. And then right around the time of that Angels series, it was 2 innings every night because they just needed everything. And look, the way the season played out, they needed every win that they got. So all of those were worth it. But there were so many nights that there was only a couple of guys that you trusted. And how often did Dan and Buck on the broadcast during the playoffs talk about the circle of trust? This is a guy that you can add to that circle of trust. And this is a guy that can save some mileage on Varland, on García, on Hoffman as the year goes on. So maybe Garcia's arm doesn't fall off by the time we get to playoff time. Maybe Hoffman can be a little bit more effective and reliable with, say, 1 out in the bottom of the 9th of Game 7 of the World Series. Maybe just having a few of those innings that were taken up by guys that we all kind of watched through our hands a little bit, have that be more reliably taken care of. Very strong thing for the Blue Jays. So just another really, really solid add to the bullpen here for Toronto. Obviously, the big topic right now for the Blue Jays is Kyle Tucker or Bo Bichette. Could it be Kyle Tucker and Bo Bichette? A lot of those conversations happening. I do want to caution the Braves signing Kim the other day, and a lot of people being like, well, takes him out of the Bo business, takes him out of the Bo Bichette business. I don't know Alex Anthopoulos personally. But he was the general manager of my team for a couple of years, and he's been a very good general manager for the Atlanta Braves since then. Alex Anthopoulos is never out of any market. I will just put that out there. And the Braves are never out of any market. They can get very creative. They have a very well set up salary structure there in Atlanta. they are not above paying a dude $20 million to sit on the bench. I'm not saying that they're going to bench the guy, but I did not see that move and think, okay, one off the board for Bichette. Makes it a little bit more tricky. Maybe it takes away some of the motivation for Atlanta, but I don't view them as any less of a threat in the Bichette business now than I did before that signing took place. But I would really love it if that market could start moving here a little bit with Tucker, Bichette, and everyone else that is kind of falling into place right now, because you are starting to see some of those other smaller moves that could have been pivots that starting to go away a little bit. Now the Blue Jays, again, they've done what they needed to do. If the roster they have under contract right now goes into spring training this year as the team, if Tucker and Bo both just, you know what, we just, man, fucking love Colorado, so we're going there. If that and the Blue Jays don't get anybody with the pitching staff they have, with the addition to the bullpen here, and with the lineup that we are going to presume maybe some regression coming from, but still with that lineup that they have, the players that they have under contract right now, it's a playoff team, right? Obviously, our goals are a little bit higher in Toronto now after what happened, but as they are currently constructed, that's a playoff team in Major League Baseball in 2026. It is now just, can you get that piece that makes you championship contender in the upcoming season? We didn't think the Blue Jays would be there last year, and look how that played out. But I do think where they're at right now is fine. It's just we're shooting for higher than fine now with the Toronto Blue Jays. But yes, more reactions to come on Couch Potato Diary as baseball's offseason continues to roll forward.